My best friend's dad made me his, a story of infidelity. I never imagined that a simple friendship could turn my life upside down. My name is Laura, and until a few months ago, I was just an ordinary young woman with a boyfriend who loved me and a best friend who was like a sister to me. Vanessa and I were inseparable since childhood. We studied together, shared secrets, laughs, and also tears. I never thought our friendship would be destroyed by betrayal. It all started when I met Vanessa's dad, Mr. Edward. I always saw him as the protective and loving father who did everything for his daughter. He was a charming man, with an imposing presence and an irresistible friendliness. Whenever I went to Vanessa's house, Edward greeted us with a smile and often joined us for casual conversations. But it was during Vanessa's birthday party that things started to change. Edward called me to talk in the kitchen, away from the noise of the party. "Laura, you seem worried. Is everything okay?" he asked, his brown eyes fixed on mine. It was the first time he showed genuine interest in my feelings. I was going through problems with my boyfriend Tyler and ended up confiding in him. "I don't know what to do anymore, Edward. It seems like we're always fighting," I confessed. He put his hand on mine, his touch warm and comforting. "Sometimes, we need someone to listen to us and understand," he said. And at that moment, I felt a different connection. It was as if he really understood me, something I hadn't felt with Tyler in a long time. Casual encounters with Edward began to become frequent. He would text me asking how I was, and it became a habit. The messages evolved into calls, and soon we were meeting in secret. I knew it was wrong, but I couldn't resist the charm and attention he gave me. Our secret meetings became my new reality. We would spend hours talking about everything, from our dreams to our frustrations. Edward was an attentive listener and always had something wise to say. He made me feel special, something I hadn't felt with Tyler in a long time. One day, after an intense argument with Tyler, I sought out Edward. "I can't take it anymore, Edward. Everything I do seems to be wrong," I poured out, tears streaming down my face. He pulled me into a tight hug and said softly, "You deserve to be happy, Laura. Don't let anyone make you feel inferior." It was at that moment that everything changed. The hug turned into a kiss, and the kiss into something more. We engaged in a forbidden passion that I couldn't control. Edward made me feel alive, and each encounter was like an escape from my troubled world. However, guilt began to eat away at me. I was cheating on Tyler, and even worse, betraying my best friend, Vanessa. Every time I saw her, I felt a heavy weight in my heart. She trusted me blindly, and I knew that if she found out, our friendship would never be the same again. But desire and passion spoke louder. Edward and I would meet in discreet hotels, away from the curious eyes of the city. He would tell me things I never imagined hearing from an older man. "You're the most incredible woman I've ever met, Laura. You deserve to be truly loved," he whispered, holding me in his arms. As much as I wanted to stop, my relationship with Tyler was deteriorating rapidly. He noticed my distance but didn't know the reason. "Laura, you're different. What's going on?" he asked one night. I just shook my head, unable to tell the truth. "I'm just tired, Tyler. We need some time apart." The situation was becoming unsustainable. Vanessa noticed that I was distant and asked several times what was going on. "Laura, are you okay? It seems like you're always somewhere else," she would say, genuine concern in her eyes. I lied, saying that I was just stressed with college. The relationship with Edward continued in secret, and each meeting became riskier. I knew it was only a matter of time before someone found out. Tyler became more suspicious and started following me. "Where were you last night, Laura?" he asked, clearly suspicious. "At Vanessa's house, studying." I lied again. But it wasn't just Tyler who was suspicious. Vanessa also started noticing changes in her father's behavior. "My dad has been so strange lately. He's always going out at night and seems distant. Do you know anything, Laura?" she asked. My heart almost stopped, but I managed to keep my composure. "No, Vanessa. Maybe he's just having trouble at work." Then, on a fateful night, everything fell apart. Tyler, determined to find out the truth, followed me to one of our secret meetings. He found us in the hotel room, and the scene that followed was complete chaos. "What's going on here?" he shouted, pain and anger etched on his face. Edward tried to calm him down, but it was useless. Tyler was beside himself. I felt myself crumbling. "Tyler, I can explain." I started, but he interrupted me. "There's nothing to explain, Laura. You cheated on me, and with your best friend's dad." He stormed out of the room, slamming the door shut. I stood there, in silence, as tears streamed down my face. Edward tried to console me, but I knew that from that moment on, nothing would ever be the same. The truth finally came out. Tyler wasted no time and told everything to Vanessa. The next day, she showed up at my door, her eyes red from crying. "How could you do this, Laura? How could you betray not only your boyfriend, but me too?" she said, her voice filled with hurt. "Vanessa, I'm so sorry. It wasn't supposed to happen like this," I tried to explain, but the words felt empty. "You've destroyed everything. Our friendship, my respect for you, and the trust I had in my dad. I never want to see you again," she screamed before running off. I lost not only my boyfriend, but also my best friend. I felt more alone than ever. Edward tried to support me, but the situation was beyond repair. My life was in ruins, all because of a forbidden passion. I knew I had made a mistake, but it was too late to turn back. Over time, things only got worse. Tyler spread the story to all our mutual friends, and soon I was the target of disapproving looks and malicious comments. People judged me, and I felt more isolated than ever. My relationship with Edward also began to crumble. The weight of guilt and losing Vanessa was unbearable, and we started fighting constantly. "Laura, we can't continue like this. It's destroying us both," he said during one of our arguments. I knew he was right, but the pain of losing everything was still too fresh. "I know, Edward. Maybe it's better if we take a break," I replied, trying to hold back the tears. The decision to distance ourselves was difficult but necessary. Edward and I grew apart, and I found myself alone, trying to pick up the pieces of my life. Guilt and shame accompanied me every step of the way, and I didn't know how to move forward. The following weeks were a blur of endless days and sleepless nights. I avoided leaving the house and isolated myself from the world. I lived in a cycle of regret, reliving every moment and wishing I had made different choices. Vanessa was devastated too. I heard through mutual friends that she distanced herself from everyone, trying to deal with the betrayal of her father and best friend. It was unbearable to think about how much I hurt her. The friendship we had was special, and now everything was destroyed. Then, on a rainy afternoon, I decided to write a letter to Vanessa. I didn't know if she would read it, but I needed to try. I poured my heart into every word, trying to explain my feelings and apologize. "Vanessa, I don't know if you'll read this, but I need to try. I'm so sorry for everything. I never meant to hurt you, and I deeply regret everything that happened. You've always been like a sister to me, and losing you has destroyed me. I hope that one day you can forgive me, even if our friendship will never be the same. With love, Laura." I sent the letter, not expecting a response. It was an act of desperation, an attempt to lighten the burden of guilt I carried. The days passed slowly, and each moment without a response was a reminder of the havoc I caused. Finally, a month later, I received a response from Vanessa. My heart raced as I opened the envelope, unsure of what to expect. "Laura, I read your letter and appreciate your words. I'm still hurt, and I don't know if I'll ever be able to forgive you completely. What you did was unforgivable, but I'm trying to move on. I hope you can too. Vanessa." Reading those words was a relief, but also a confirmation of the pain I caused. I knew it would take time, if ever possible, to rebuild any kind of relationship with Vanessa. I started to focus on myself, trying to rediscover who I was. I sought therapy, trying to understand the reasons behind my actions and how to avoid repeating the same mistakes. Slowly, I began to feel a glimmer of hope. Edward moved on too. He and Vanessa's mother tried to rebuild their marriage, although I knew that the scars from that period would remain forever. Our involvement was a mistake that we would both pay for the rest of our lives. Months passed, and I began to venture out again, trying to resume a normal life. I met new people and made new friends, but the ghost of the past still haunted me. People's judgment was hard to bear, but I learned to cope with it, to be stronger. One day, while walking through the park, I ran into Tyler. He was different, more mature, but there was still a sadness in his eyes that I immediately recognized. I decided to approach him and talk, although I knew it would be difficult. "Tyler, can I talk to you for a minute?" I asked, unsure of how he would react. He hesitated for a moment, but finally nodded. "Of course, Laura. What do you want to talk about?" His voice was cold, but at least he was willing to listen. "I just wanted to apologize again for everything that happened. I know my apologies won't change the past, but I wanted you to know that I deeply regret everything I did. I not only hurt you, but also hurt myself," I said, trying to stay calm. He sighed, looking at the ground before meeting my gaze again. "Laura, it was hard for me. I really loved you, and seeing you with Vanessa's dad was devastating. But I think we both need to move on." I nodded, feeling a mixture of sadness and relief. "Yes, Tyler, I think so too. I hope you find someone who makes you happy." "I hope you find peace too, Laura," he said before walking away. That encounter with Tyler was an important step in my healing. I realized that, although the past was painful, I needed to learn to forgive myself in order to move forward. Life went on, and I needed to find a way to live with the mistakes I made. Time passed, and life began to regain a semblance of normality. I started to engage in projects that I had always wanted to do, but had put aside because of the problems. I went back to painting, something that always brought me peace, and started volunteering at a local organization, helping people in difficult situations. I met a woman named Julia, who became a close friend. She knew nothing about my past, and that was a relief. With her, I could just be myself, without the weight of judgment or expectations. We shared many moments, and her friendship was crucial to my recovery. One day, while we were having coffee, Julia mentioned an upcoming charity event that the organization was planning. "Laura, we need someone to coordinate the decoration. You have an incredible talent for it. Would you like to help?" I accepted the offer enthusiastically. Working on the decoration of the event gave me a new perspective and something positive to focus on. I put all my energy into the project, and the result was better than I had expected. The event was a success, and for the first time in a long time, I felt a genuine pride in what I had accomplished. Vanessa and I still didn't talk, but we occasionally exchanged messages. There was a long way to go to rebuild our friendship, but I was willing to try. As for Edward, he moved to another city with his wife, trying to start over. We never spoke again, but I wish him peace. My life with Raphael is a new adventure. He taught me to forgive myself and to believe in the future. Together, we built a life based on respect and trust, and I am finally at peace with my past. If there's one thing I've learned, it's that life is made up of choices and consequences. Making mistakes is human, but it takes courage to admit them, learn from them, and move on. And sometimes, redemption comes from unexpected places, showing that even in the worst storms, there's always a chance for a new beginning.